Good afternoon and welcome. As mentioned, my name is Paolo, and on behalf of Malvika and Veronica, who unfortunately cannot be here today, I'd like to thank you all for taking the time. We know it gets a bit hectic around this time of year, so thank you very much. We're excited to speak today about a prospective project that we believe and hope will inspire policymakers, citizens, and entire communities to think globally and act locally. Our intention for bringing you all here today is to inspire each of you to partner with us, Malvika and I, and Veronica, in a collaborative, complex, and interdisciplinary relationship between the City of London, its many vibrant institutions, and of course, Western University, to meet the challenges posed by the current climate crisis. The City of London, along with municipalities across the globe, have already declared in unison that we now find ourselves amid a climate crisis. The impact is wide and varied, from the proliferation of microplastics in our water to the visible heavy smog in our skies. Climate change is altering our everyday realities, and the actions we take today will have a ripple effect on future generations. We are now playing for keeps. So the agenda, today will be a proposal of sorts. Not necessarily a in-depth analysis, but an introduction and a chance for us to familiarize ourselves with one another. We intend to frame our time together over the next hour or so, give or take, as something that can be generative, inspiring, and exciting. Firstly, we'll introduce the Playing for Keeps project, an effort through Western University's Thinking Globally and Acting Locally pilot. This was led by our colleague Tatiana, I might get this wrong, Zakharova Goodman, who currently now resides in BC and is taking on different challenges. In speaking to this project, we will describe how it is able to engage individuals from various academic and professional disciplines to think about sustainability and climate action with and beside children in their communities. We will outline briefly some of the approaches taken by the Playing for Keeps team and how they were able to bring forth an array of unique perspectives, ideas, and possibilities that ventured beyond their traditional expertise to bring forth ways of seeing, doing, and becoming that would only be possible by working alongside children and giving them that space. It's from this diverse approach and the resulting kaleidoscope of knowledge that has inspired us to not just think about a specific place. So for Playing for Keeps, it was playgrounds, but the spaces and places that make up the urban landscape as a whole. And so we asked ourselves, what does the city look like through the purview of the child? But perhaps more importantly, what do climate crisis solutions in the city look like to a child? Our project, Children Co-Designing Cities of the Anthropocene, or CCCA, is the beginning of what we hope will become a multi-city project that works collaboratively with children to meet the challenges proposed by the global climate crisis. Today we will outline those intentions for this project, a preliminary methodology, and our objectives. Finally, we will open up the floor to conversation. So I'd like to introduce Malvika, who is also the lead on this project.
Paolo and I, we come to you as second-year PhD students. We work closely with our professor, Veronica Passini-Ketchabo, who's our supervisor in the field of curriculum studies, and has a particular interest in early childhood education and pedagogy. We are of the mind that by listening, talking, walking alongside children, families, and their communities, we can uncover spontaneous ways of seeing and doing that typically get lost in the world of regulations, protocols, and expertise. It's in these moments of discovery alongside children that we believe we can contribute to the global effort and local actions that seek to transform, guide, and inspire policy, practices, and landscapes that during a time of climate change uncertainty. As a PhD student at Western, my research focuses on curriculum studies, and it is at the intersection of pedagogy, arts, digital technologies, and educational practices that seek to imagine livable possibilities for children, which involves social justice and ecological justice issues. In my research practice, this looks like creating unique and playful experiences with children and educators that also incorporate digital technologies beyond their uses as what we call techno-fixes. In my work with children and technologies, I try and push the idea that technology, I try and push the binary that technology will either save us or further remove us from our relations with the world. And I attend to the ease in the way digital technology is introduced in childhood spaces, and I trouble its presence by deeply focusing on those relations through sonic and visual artistic practices. I'm going to pass it back to Paulo now, so he can discuss his background.
Okay, so as mentioned, I am a second-year PhD student with a background in urban geography. My master's research focused specifically on neoliberal urbanization and the impact this socioeconomic policy continues to have on shaping deindustrialized landscapes of Hamilton, Ontario. Can be applied to London as well. I looked intensely at the marketing, gentrification policy, and privatization of the urban core, and its ripple effect on the people, place, and culture of Hamilton. Initially, I was drawn to the field of early childhood learning out of necessity. My family owns and operates a child care center in Hamilton. But as I dove into literature, I realized that many of the hopes I had for a better city and future actually could be made possible by thinking about curriculum and early learning and working alongside children. I think I can speak on behalf of Malvika and I when I see a lot of our inspiration is drawn from the work and guidance of our professor, Veronica. Her work in this field is prolific and vast, and she will be the primary investigator of this project. So along with being a professor of early childhood education at Western University, she is also the director of the Interdisciplinary Center for Research and Curriculum at Western University, a senior fellow of NORAG, co-director of the Pedagogists Network of Ontario, and co-director of the British Columbia Early Childhood Pedagogies Network. We're not done. She is a major contributor to the Common Worlds Research Collective and the Early Childhood Pedagogies Collaboratory. She has worked on numerous SSHRC-funded research projects that look specifically at climate change pedagogies with children in both the global north and the global south, and has co-authored and co-authored more than 40 peer-reviewed scholarly articles and 6 books. She's a really good source for us to have, and it's really helpful that she's our supervisor, to say the least. And so finally, Veronica was a principal investigator in the Playing for Keeps sustainability projects, which we'll discuss now. And this was an interdisciplinary effort that served as an inspiration for our proposal and vision today. So, the Thinking Globally, Acting Locally pilot program brought together undergraduate and graduate students, academics, environmental professionals, artists, and early childhood educators across 15 childhood learning center and after-school programs with our previous community partner, London Bridge Childcare Services, which I think a few of you are here today as well. The research team, ignited by a passion for design, an intrigue in the potential of pedagogy, and joy found in play, asked the question, how might playgrounds contribute to the well-being of people and more than humans, function as sustainable, resilient, and inclusive environments, and contribute to local level climate solutions? Provoked by the unknown potential of this question and the exciting possibility of reimagining the traditional playground as a protagonist in local climate solutions, 4 multidisciplinary teams collaborated to generate an array of ideas that were scientific, they were pedagogical, and they were artistic. A mingling of expertise, interest, and passion collaborated to complexify the playground as a site that was more than just one that was designed for play, but as one that could be vital to animal and plant habitats, a hub for local communities, and a connection point to pedagogical conversations around climate change, environment, and relationships with place. So this is just an example of some of the work that came out of this effort. This contributory research culminated in an online gallery of sorts. So some of you guys can all access. I think we have the website up as well. It's a catalog that beautifully and pedagogically brings together this individual and group knowledges. As a testament to the richness and complexity of the way climate change sustainability solutions can actually be made real through different persons, disciplines, and places, but in particular children and their communities. As mentioned, our hope is that we can continue the essence of this project by expanding our inquiry beyond just the playground and into the spaces and places that make up the City of London. And hopefully with some success, other municipalities regionally, nationally, and potentially globally. Continuing under the Thinking Globally and Acting Locally initiative, our proposed research project will be developed in conjunction with the City of London's 2022 Climate Emergency Declaration and Climate Emergency Action Plan. I'm going to pass it on to Malvika to give us an in-depth look.
Thank you. So I want you to imagine for a moment the possibilities that could stem from growing this small interdisciplinary project that you just heard about, from just a team of academics, professionals, and artists in the community at large to beyond our city, bigger than that, across regions, nations, and borders. With your partnership, our project, Children Co-Designing Cities of the Anthropocene, can be a truly local action with the potential to not only think globally, but become a global contributor to the challenges of our current climate crisis. Our pilot intends to establish 2 collaboratories. These collaboratories are creative spaces that would be a blend of collaboration and this idea of a laboratory. One here in London and the other in Hamilton, Ontario. These spaces will be integrated in after-school programs with the intention of welcoming diverse participants from each city that will be demographically composed to generate unique experiences and localized data sets. These collaboratories will harness both digital and traditional artistic mediums, such as drawing, filmmaking, digital animation, and these will be given to children as tools to reimagine and recreate their urban spaces. By merging narrative, art, and technology, such as global information systems, we enable a rich exploration of urban futures through children's experiences and creativity. So this pilot will engage in case studies. The case studies will be rooted in the environmental challenges within each of the collaboratories, so the 2 spaces. We will employ material inquiries and establish a method for researching with children that will incorporate these 3 main methods. The first one being the digital and traditional art methods, such as imaginative, visual, and digital ethnography involving filmmaking, photography, digital animation. We would also like to bring in drawing, painting, sculpting, poetry, walking, and gardening as methods to begin creating speculative, imaginative, alternative city spaces imagined by children. And we'll also bring in the use of geographic information systems. So these will be open source softwares or technology that is available to you even once the project ends. So our goal is to have it not just create alternative landscapes and urban planning, but do them in a way that the methods remain sustainable once the project is done. We're confident that these methods will foster a creative, collaborative research process that will resonate deeply with young participants and catalyze participatory urban innovation. So we have a few objectives with this proposal. The first one I want to discuss is our short term. This will be within the span of 2 years. Our hope is that we can reestablish some of the partnerships that we made through Playing for Keeps, and if possible, invite other partners, some of you who are in this room, to partner with us in this research project. From there, we will gather and analyze young children's perspectives on ecological challenges within the urban setting of London, Ontario. and eventually Hamilton. Through this research practice, we will create rich qualitative data sets that will reflect diverse childhood experiences across intersecting identities to contribute to the envisioning of future cities. To share this knowledge, we hope to produce some academic resources, but also more community resources through programming, an exhibit within the 2-year period. We hope to generate a city report that will contribute to the climate action plan. And then Paulo and I are PhD students, so for us, this will look like a thesis for the both of us, papers, presentations on the same topic.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Hopefully we get that far.
We will. We got this. All of this 2-year progress that we hope to make, we wanted to culminate into our long-term objective, which is the intention to build this international research network across 20 cities across the 6 continents that will provide city-specific and cross-city insights into how young children navigate various ecological challenges that cities encounter. And we want London, Ontario as the founding city for this global project. I'm going to get to the meat, which is, why does this work matter? Well, before I start, I want you to imagine, close your eyes, imagine a bustling city, skyscrapers, lots of cars, and millions of people. Kind of like Toronto, but like, imagine that's in London. That is how we imagine our future cities. Cities like London will be that one day. And cities like London have also made it clear that we are amid a climate crisis. So as we continue to urbanize at a breakneck speed, a startling reality is emerging for us. By the mid-century, most of the world's children, and London's as well, will live in urban areas. At the same time, traditional modes of urbanization as they happen today act as a primary contributor to planetary climate change and multiple other anthropogenically determined ecological crises. Despite the vibrancy, the fun, the buzz of city life, the way urbanization is going currently is killing the planet. And so for a future in which more and more people live in the cities, a consequence is that they live in a state of perpetual ecological precarity, one that is only made real by a lack of investment in child envisioned planning and design. And I think this is where the project comes in. So the longer we continue to allow this trend of urbanization to go unabated, the more complicated it will become, resulting in generations of children who are increasingly vulnerable and ill-equipped to meet the challenges that we have set for them. Now, we're not suggesting we do away with urbanization. That's impossible. Cities are at the center of culture, innovation, and community, but we need to do urbanization differently. We need to rethink how we urbanize. How can our cities grow and thrive in a way that's sustainable and child-friendly? Imagine urbanization that includes design and planning envisioned by children. A city that's not just built for them, but partly built by their ideas. What would that look like? And these propositions, they echo ideas from, I don't know if you're familiar, but there is something called as Child-Friendly Cities Initiative for Every Child by UNICEF. And they have undertaken some of this child envisioned planning in cities across the globe. I believe in Canada currently, it's only a city within Quebec that is implementing it. So a lot of our propositions today that you've heard echo that idea. And I would invite you to check out the site if you haven't yet. We invite you to partner with us with some of these goals in mind, with the aim to redress the gaps by engaging young children and their communities to reimagine and co-design cities that will meet the challenges of the Anthropocene. Through this process, the primary goal of our partnership is to offer a new participatory methodology, a paradigm that rethinks young children's participation in designing future cities. With that, I'm going to close, and I'd like to thank you all for your time, and we would like to now open up the floor for questions and conversation. Thank you.